Amadou Onana to Arsenal. Many people are reporting this deal's close. Some people are even reporting this deal's done already. I'm going to be telling you why in this video that this deal works out so good for Arsenal and Everton. I'll go through how this affects the midfield and why this deal might have to happen in January. But also what happens when Thomas Partey comes back. So let's get into it. So this deal works out perfectly because Onana is the perfect defensive midfielder. He's even more defensive than Thomas Partey, and that would allow Declan Rice to slot into that more forward position that so many people have been wanting him to play this season. But with Partey being injured, he hasn't had the chance to play that number 8 role that Xhaka played last season. He's had to be deployed mainly as a centre defensive midfielder, and he's excelled massively. He's improved Arsenal's midfield. But Arsenal's midfield has been missing something, and with the introduction of Onana, that would then allow us to have them two combative midfielders that we had last season, and that will improve Arsenal's play in all areas. We've obviously seen this season that Arteta likes to play them two more attacking-minded midfielders, but it definitely unbalances this Arsenal midfield. I mean, we see Pep do it, and you have to understand why Pep Guardiola is able to play them two more attacking-minded players in midfield. He has world-class players in every position. Unfortunately, Arsenal aren't yet in that position. We have a lot of young developing players, but Pep Guardiola, all players in his defence are world-class, his keeper's world-class, wingers are world-class, and his strikers are world-class. So yes, in that situation, that would allow you to have the two more attacking-minded midfield players. But we've seen this season, Arteta has tried having the two attacking midfield players, and it doesn't work. We've lost a lot more games this season, but not even just Arteta. You look at Eric Ten Hag, and even he's tried to mess up the midfield balance and try and go with two more attacking-minded midfield players, and it doesn't work. So I think Arteta needs to get back to this midfield of having these two big, strong players in there, and that's what Onana brings Arsenal. And I've actually seen some negativity surrounding this transfer, and I don't really understand it. There's a lot of people saying if we've got the money to buy Onana for 50-60 million, we should be going out and buying that centre forward, and I think that's the wrong mindset to have, because if we are to go and buy a striker, it was always going to be a summer deal anyway. The Onana deal is a January deal that you can make happen for a reason I'll go through in a minute. But in terms of striker, that's not a deal you can make happen in January. The only possible deal that we could have made happen in January was Ivan Toney. But that's now been made so much more difficult with his recent announcement saying that basically he wants to stay at Brentford. He has a lot to owe them. And because they've stuck by him recently, he has to repay that favour. So if we can't get Ivan Toney, the only other kind of players you can go for is a Vlahovic or a Osimhen, and they're always going to be summer deals. They're not going to be letting them players leave in January. So to the people that are saying we need to go and buy a striker, I agree with you, but not in January. The Onana deal is strictly a January deal. And there's also concerns that when Thomas Partey comes back, that we're going to have too many players in midfield. You can never have too many good players in central midfield. Plus, we know what happens with this Arsenal team. There's always injuries going around, especially in the middle of the park. Hopefully there does come a time where we have all of our midfield options available. But that will be to our advantage. That won't be detrimental having too many good central midfield players available. And let's look at their midfield options. You're going to have El Neni and Jorginho, who, let's be honest, they're probably going to be sold in the summer anyway. So if you get ahead of time and buy that centre defensive midfield player in January, you'll be ahead of the game, because if you start selling midfielders in the summer, say you sell El Neni and then Jorginho, the clubs that you're looking to buy a midfielder from know you need to buy this player, so they're going to push the price up. So if you make the deal happen in January, all you're doing is getting ahead of the deal and minimising the risk of you being ripped off. And you couple that with the fact that Everton need to sell. There's a report going around today that the people that are buying Everton, 77 Sport, whoever it is, they've said to the board that you need to sell Onana in January to try and sort out this financial mess they're in. And with Onana being one of the players that can attract attention, you know, this is a player you have to sell because it's one of our biggest assets. So things are lining up perfectly for Arsenal to make this deal happen. But I'd love to know everyone's thoughts on this video, so let me know in the comment section. Thanks for watching.